The Global Culture Festival was in full swing in the heart of Chicago's Millennium Park. Flags from dozens of countries swayed in the breeze, lining the bustling plaza where vibrant music filled the air. The scent of spices, roasting meats, and sweet pastries danced through the crowd, tempting passers-by to explore the food stalls boasting flavors from across the world. Among the festival-goers was Dr. Kwame Adebayo, a well-respected professor of African studies and a community leader. Clad in a regal Nigerian agbada, its intricate gold embroidery glistening under the afternoon sun, he exuded both wisdom and pride. He was there to give a keynote speech on cultural identity and heritage, sharing stories of resilience, history, and unity with an eager audience. However, not everyone in attendance shared the festival's spirit of inclusivity. On the outskirts of the crowd stood Margaret Whitmore, a middle-aged woman with tightly crossed arms and a deep-set scowl. She had only come to the park for a quiet afternoon, unaware that the festival would turn the area into a melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions. Her sharp blue eyes darted around, her gaze filled with annoyance at the lively drumming circles, the swirling dances, the mingling of people from all walks of life. "Chicago never used to be like this," she muttered, adjusting the designer purse slung over her shoulder. The energy of the festival felt chaotic, disruptive, and to her, utterly unnecessary. She had almost made it past the stage when a powerful voice rang out through the speakers, stopping her in her tracks. "Welcome, everyone." Dr. Adebayo's voice boomed, filled with warmth and confidence. "Today, we celebrate culture. We embrace the threads of history that connect us, no matter where we come from." The crowd erupted into applause, but Margaret remained unmoved. Her eyes narrowed as she took in the tall, dignified figure on stage. His traditional African attire, the pride in his posture, the way people respected him, it all rubbed her the wrong way. And then, before she could stop herself, the words left her lips. "Why don't you go back to where you came from?" For a split second, the noise of the festival halted, as if the very air had been sucked out of the space. Conversations died. Laughter faded. Even the musicians hesitated, their hands hovering over drums and strings. All eyes turned toward her, some faces twisted in disbelief, others in anger. Parents pulled their children closer, shielding them from the venom in her words. But the one who stood unshaken was Dr. Adebayo himself. He met her glare with a steady, unreadable expression, his sharp mind processing the insult he had heard far too many times before. The younger version of himself, the boy mocked in school, the immigrant who fought to prove his worth, would have let the anger rise. But today was different. With a slow, deliberate breath, he stepped forward, adjusting the rich fabric of his agbada. His voice, when it came, was not laced with rage, but with unshakable power. "Why don't I go back?" he repeated, his words amplified through the speakers. The crowd held its breath, waiting. Margaret smirked, certain that she had humiliated him, certain that he would crumble under the weight of her disdain. But then he continued, his words like thunder rolling across the plaza. Dr. Kwame Adebayo let the silence stretch for a moment, allowing the weight of the woman's words to linger in the air. He could see the expectant expressions in the crowd, some filled with anger, others with quiet anticipation. Then, with measured calm, he spoke again. "Why don't I go back?" he repeated, his voice rich with power. "Back to where? Back to the land where the first civilizations flourished? Back to the birthplace of art, language, and mathematics? Back to the continent that carried the history of humanity long before borders were drawn?" The crowd stirred, murmurs of agreement rippling through them. Margaret's smirk wavered. She hadn't expected a response like this. She had expected rage, or embarrassment, perhaps even silence. But not this. Dr. Adebayo's deep brown eyes locked onto hers, unwavering. "I carry my roots with me," he said, pressing a hand to his chest. "In every step I take, in every word I speak, in every lesson I teach. My home is not a place I can be sent away from. It is in my history, my resilience, my very being." A few people in the audience began to clap, hesitantly at first, but then louder. He raised a hand to quiet them. "Not done yet. You asked me to go back," he continued. But do you know what that truly means? It means you fear what you do not understand. It means you refuse to acknowledge the truth, that culture, diversity, and history cannot be erased. Margaret opened her mouth as if to argue, but no words came out. She had nothing to counter with. Dr. Adebayo took a step forward, his voice rising, not in anger, but in undeniable conviction. You see, I don't need to go back. Because I am here, and I belong. The crowd erupted into applause, a wave of cheers and support crashing over the festival. Some people whistled, others stamped their feet, and some wiped away tears. Margaret's face turned scarlet. She took a step back, the reality of the moment hitting her like a tidal wave. A young girl near the front, no older than 10, tugged on her mother's sleeve and whispered, "He won." The energy in the festival shifted. Where once there had been tension, now there was unity. Dr. Adebayo smiled, not in triumph, but in understanding. He had not simply silenced Margaret. He had taught a lesson, one that no classroom, no textbook, no lecture could ever teach. He turned his attention back to the audience. "This festival," he said, gesturing to the vibrant crowd around him, "is proof that we are stronger together. That heritage is something to be celebrated, not feared. That differences make us richer, not weaker." A woman in a hijab nodded fiercely. A group of teenagers cheered. Vendors waved their flags higher. And Margaret? She disappeared into the crowd, her shoulders hunched, her head low. She didn't need to be confronted any further. Her own conscience was already doing the work. As the festival resumed, the music played louder, the people danced freer, and the voices of unity drowned out the whispers of hate. Dr. Adebayo took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle inside him. He had not just responded to an insult. He had turned hatred into a lesson, and everyone there would remember it.